Democratic presidential candidate Kamala Harris has warned thousands of people gathered in Washington of the dangers of another Donald Trump presidency. She made the comments at a rally near the White House, where Trump addressed his supporters before they attacked the U.S. Capitol Hill in the year 2020. The two candidates are intensifying their campaigns ahead of next week's vote. Voice of America senior correspondent Carolyn Presutti is with us now, and she joins us to tell us the mood in America as we edge ever so closer to Tuesday. Carolyn, good evening to you and thanks for your time. Let's start with the choice of the venue chosen by Kamala Harris. Why take the campaign there? What message was she trying to convey?
Hi, Oli, and good evening to you and to all your viewers, too. It was very interesting that she chose what we call the ellipse in Washington to hold this huge rally. One, she had the White House right behind her, right? That was the backdrop of her speech. And so it wasn't lost on the audience that someone will be there. Someone will be elected to be there starting next year. Either it's going to be Harris or Trump, right? And the other reason why she chose that location was that was where President Trump, president at the time, Donald Trump, held his rally before the mob went up to the Capitol to storm the Capitol. And he's received a lot of criticism for what he said at that rally, whether or not he motivated the crowd to go to the Capitol. So it was twofold why she chose that venue. And of course, just the ellipse itself is the huge expanse of land that is behind the White House. Many events are held there. The most famous probably is the Easter egg roll that we have here in the United States.
Yeah. The swing states, Carolyn, how intense is the campaign going to be as the date of Tuesday, 5 November, gets ever so close?
When you look at the schedules of these two Americans, it seems highly improbable that they can find time to breathe. It's incredible. It is so intense this last week as they crisscross across 7 swing states. And then there are swing states that are more important, but let's go over the 7 first. It's Arizona, it's Nevada, it's Michigan, it's Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, North Carolina, and Georgia. Those are the 7 states thought to be going either way. They could go Democrat, they could go Republican. And in fact, the latest polls out yesterday showed that there's only 1 point difference in 2 of those states. The others are neck and neck.
Wow.
So it's really a toss-up. But so you can understand, if you're a campaign and you're scheduling your candidates' rallies, they're going to be in those states, right? And you are correct. So today, Trump is in North Carolina and Wisconsin, and then his vice presidential nominee, J.D. Vance, is in Pennsylvania. Today, Harris is in Pennsylvania, North Carolina, and Wisconsin. I'm surprised they don't run into each other, honestly. But that's just on today. Imagine flying to 3 different states in one day to do 3 rallies. It's an incredibly exhausting push for that last week, but they have to. This is it. Even though 51 million people have already voted, early voting in this country, there's still a lot more out there that are going to vote before or on Tuesday.
Yeah. I listened to one of the commentators speaking over the last while, and they made the comment that over the years, what former President Trump has managed to do in the American electoral system was to make it almost fashionable or easy for the people of America to either question or reject the electoral outcomes. And so I'm prefacing that with this question to say, how closely are authorities watching voter irregularities? I was watching in the last few nights about the boxes, the mailboxes, where the votes for those that choose to vote via mail, one of them was set alight in, I can't remember whether it was in New York or somewhere, but things like that. How closely are authorities watching voter irregularities?
It actually turned out to be 2 drop boxes. Drop boxes being the places where if you choose to vote early, then you can just slide your ballot into a slot, right? And it's at normally the Board of Elections. And so there were two drop boxes that were set on fire. Those authorities are trying to find those voters who may have voted early to tell them to vote again. Meantime, yes, there will be so many observers at every polling place around the country. Now, that being said, you're probably going to follow up that with, when are we going to have an answer on this election? And no one thinks it's going to be Tuesday night. They all think it's going to extend into the wee early morning hours of Wednesday and probably into the week, just because there's so much to be done and there are so many viewers, there are so many eyes on this election because of what happened 4 years ago. So that's why it involves so much minutia, so many different people, so many different laws in many states. Like in two of those swing states that I mentioned, two of them, the election workers can't even begin to start counting those mail-in ballots until 7 a.m. on Tuesday.
Yeah.
So that goes to show you, I mean, if they're inundated with millions of ballots and then they have everyone coming in person, you know, it's really going to be heavy lifting to figure out this election. And either way, you know, people are going to question it because that has been ingrained in voters' minds. Now is the time to question this election. And I think on both sides, Democrat or Republican, they will question this election.
Carolyn Presutti is a senior correspondent with the Voice of America. Thank you very much for joining us this evening. And we are going to be watching very closely